Greetings, Mr. Matthew and Ms. Jen. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Well, I don't have chicken pox, so I'm good.
Good. So how should we start the conversation?
Well, if we're going with the notes, then your position is that everyone has faith. We just have faith in our own understanding. So I guess you can explain what you mean, and we can either agree or not.
Well, I definitely believe that all of us exercise faith.
Well, what do you mean exercise faith? Because the way this was phrased, it sounds like you just meant that faith was having some confidence. Well, that's not an exercise. That's just a fact.
It is a fact, yeah, and I agree.
Okay, so we all have confidence in things, and you want to call that faith?
I believe that's the biblical definition of faith.
Well, it depends on which part of the Bible you're referencing, because if you go to like Hebrews 11:1, it says faith is the evidence of things unseen. That's not a confidence level. That is an epistemological foundation. It means that you believe.
All that verse is saying is that faith is evidence. That's all it's saying.
Well, if faith is evidence, then it can't be confidence. And if faith is confidence, then it can't be evidence. Those are two fundamentally different components. The evidence is what gives you confidence. The confidence is what you have based on good reasons or bad reasons. I'll help you clarify. So this is the problem, is that faith is used in a couple of different ways. It is used as the reason you believe something, like I believe based on faith. And then it's also used in the sense of confidence.
That phrase doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay.
I believe.
But that's what Hebrews 11:1 is advocating. That's what Hebrews 11:1 is advocating.
Based on faith. I believe based on belief. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, now you've introduced a third thing, because first we have Hebrews 11:1 supporting the notion that faith is the evidence or the epistemological foundation for belief. Then you have other verses that would point to.
Do you agree that verse is saying that faith is evidence?
That's what the verse says, yes.
Okay.
I don't care what the verse says. I'm pointing out that the word faith is used in a number of different ways. And the thing I'm trying to avoid is an equivocation fallacy, so faith could be used as the evidence, the reason why you believe. Faith could be used as confidence, your confidence level, how strongly you are convinced.
That's the one I'm going with.
Okay, fine. Hang on.
That's what faith
I got you. Hang on. And then you just introduced another one where you said faith is belief. So we'll chuck that one out, and we'll just go with the way you're using the word faith, it means confidence. I agree with you. We all have confidence in things that we believe. So what?
So my point is, well, I don't know if I'm getting to the point yet. I'm just engaging in the conversation. But basically, we all have faith. My faith is in God, the Creator. Your faith is in your own understanding and other men.
I have confidence in a lot of things. I wouldn't just say that I have confidence in my own understanding or other men. The thing is here.
Well, what else is there, Matt? What else is there?
Well, we
You don't believe that there's a creator, so you can't have confidence in him.
Well, we have science.
Other men's test.
We have science, which is a method.
Science is fine.
Science isn't just people saying stuff.
Yeah, it's a method for understanding reality.
But the thing is,
you have faith in that. You have faith
Jeff,
in that method. Then.
Oh my God.
No.
Yes, sir. I'm listening to you, Matt.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Okay? But now you are. So I'm going to agree that we all have confidence in things. But the difference here is whether or not that confidence is justified. I don't want to use the word faith because when you say you have faith in God, my immediate question is, what justifies your confidence in God? And don't put that co-equal with my confidence in the findings of the methods of science. Because when you say, why do you have confidence in science? And I can explain to you that science is the single most consistently reliable method for accurately understanding the universe. And we can demonstrate this over and over and over again, merely by the fact that we are having a conversation through microphones and cameras that travel all over the world, that are the result of science and understanding how electricity works, how light works, how sound works, etc. Those are all things that are demonstrable. When you say you have faith in a God and you want to put that co-equal to faith in science, then I have to ask, Can you give any demonstration for why your confidence in God is reliable, or why it should even be considered in the same category as confidence in science?
Because your science is based on what the Creator has made it.
How do you know that?
Yeah.
The science, the whole foundation of science is contingent on the maker and what.
Okay, so now you've created a bullshit circular argument where you understand and agree that confidence in science is justified because it's reliable, and now you're making a bald-faced assertion that science is reliable because of God. Prove it.
Yeah, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west every day.
Congratulations. You've made the same argument that every primitive society that's ever existed has made.
How is that in any way? How is that in any way a demonstration that science is reliable because of God?
Because everything that science does is because of observation, and observation is because of what God has created.
How do you know that observation is because of what God has created?
How do I know it?
Yes.
Because I live it. I experience it every day.
How do you know that you are experiencing this God thing every day?
This God thing.
Yes.
I'm asking you to explain why you have confidence in God, why you have confidence that science is only reliable because it's based on God. And then you come back and you say, because I live it and I experience it every day. What the hell does that mean? And how does it demonstrate that you have a reasonable confidence in God?
How does it demonstrate that I have a reasonable confidence in God?
Yes.
I'm not even understanding your question.
I know. How would you go about? Okay, so here's a claim. Just pick any claim. The moon is made of green cheese. How would you go about investigating to figure out whether or not that's true?
Oh, I might look at the moon first of all.
Okay, great. We'll pause right there. We'll pause right there. We'll pause right there.
Answer the question.
No, we're going to pause right there because if I let you keep talking, it could get distracted. How would you demonstrate that a God exists? Would you look at God?
Demonstrate.
You were really quick you were really quick to come up with a good starting place.
You're not even letting me consider the question before you just say.
I tell you what, how about I hang up and you think about the question for a week and call back? Because right now I'm trying to explain that when it came to something that we can investigate scientifically, are you going to let me finish or am I going to hang up on your ass? I'm trying to explain something. Do you want to learn or not?
I would like you to exercise some patience if you can.
You have no idea how much patience I'm exercising right now. All right? I'm trying to... Yes, listen, and you'll learn something. When I asked you a question about something we could investigate scientifically, you started with the scientific method that would begin with a direct observation. When I asked you a question about how you could investigate and justify your confidence in God, you did not begin with that. Why not?
I never answered the question. I was considering the question, and then you got all hyped and everything.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How
many ways can I ask you? Okay, you have confidence that there's a God, right?
Yes.
Why?
I look around and see everything that He's created. That gives me confidence in it.
No, you look around and see things. What makes you think God created it?
The first verse of the Bible.
Why would you have confidence that in the Bible?
Because it's true.
How will you demonstrate that?
I can observe what has been created and come to the conclusion that in the beginning God created.
And again, that's a circular argument. You're going back to the Bible. The Bible is true because I can observe things that you claim are created, and you know they're created because the Bible. That's a circular argument.
Well, I know they're created because I can look and see, and common sense tells me that, like I told you before, Jen, the water cycle. the water cycle.
We didn't talk about the water
one
cycle
thing.
yet.
Maybe on another
Well,
show.
we talked about it on a previous call.
Oh, see. Okay.
Anyway, the point is this: that when I observe the things that I observe, to me, they demonstrate design and a creator.
Okay, what criteria are you using What criteria are you using to demonstrate that what you observe necessarily points to a designer?
It's just obvious when you look at
Okay,
your
I'm
body.
sorry,
it's
Jeff.
not obvious.
I'm sorry, Jeff, but saying it's obvious is not an actual argument supported by any evidence. If anything, it is the definition of faith in the sense that faith is the excuse people give when they don't have a good reason. You don't have a good reason.
Does the body not demonstrate design?
No.
Your body itself.
The body does not demonstrate. The body does not demonstrate intentional design by an agent. It gives the hallmarks of apparent design through the process of natural selection, in the sense that those things that
you
best
call it
fit.
Apparent.
Yes.
It's just a lie. It's just a lie. It's an illusion.
Okay. How do you show it's a lie? Because we have evidence for one thing, and you're saying that it's a lie because it's just obvious to you it's a lie.
I didn't say it was a lie. You said it was a lie. That it's an apparent design.
No, you said that's a lie.
Definitely.
You said that's a lie.
No, you said it. You said it was.
Oh my God! Rewind it.
Yeah, we have this on tape, so.
All right, maybe we'll just maybe shut the fuck up. Maybe we'll just call it a miscommunication. That when you said it's a lie, that what you meant was the word apparent implies that it's a lie.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's
Apparent.
what I'm saying.
Apparent is a statement that means, yes, I understand this can give the people impression of design, and yet there is no evidence for intelligent, intended design.
Well, you look at something and say it's apparent design. I look at it and say it is definitely design.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so when I show you an optical illusion where two colors are apparently the same, and yet we prove that they're not the same, what does that tell you?
Mm-hmm. You've proven that it's an illusion. Well,
Yes.
Can you prove that what I call design is an illusion?
Yes.
Yes.
That's
How?
a functional purpose of evolution. That what happens, well, I don't have time to teach you everything, but what happens is allele changes over time is what evolution is. Basically, small changes in genetics. Some of them produce traits that are beneficial to the organism based on the environment at the time. Some of them are negative, some of them are neutral. And what happens is the ones that are too negative to allow you to survive kill that branch of the evolutionary tree off. And what ends up happening is you get something that to an observer like us may appear to be design, and yet there is no evidence for actual intended design. All of the evidence points to this is what happens over time through a process called natural selection, which is why the explanation for the diversity of life is called the theory of evolution by means of natural selection. Now, if you want to say that there is design, you have to demonstrate that there is in fact design. You have to provide evidence of a designer doing stuff to reach a goal. Can you do that?
I think you have an underappreciation.
Can you do that?
Of the things that you, huh?
Can you do that?
I'm sorry.
In order to,
Can I do what?
well, this is what I meant when I said you weren't fucking listening.
Forgive me.
I don't have to, but I will. So, in order to make a case that something is the result of intentional design, you would need to demonstrate a designer that has intent towards a goal and provide evidence for that. Can you do that?
Yeah, I think like the lungs themselves provide evidence of an intent. In other words, it's a design to allow you to breathe. So I think observing the lungs and how they function in the respiratory system itself demonstrates a designer and an intention. He wants you to breathe in this environment.
Yeah, this is what I mean by apparent design. Every time we get you to try to demonstrate that what you have confidence in is reasonable, all you do is come back with a circular argument based on a misunderstanding that is all about I just think it's obvious. Well, I don't care what you think is obvious. I care what you can demonstrate. And there's a reason why your Captain Obvious view of life is not science. It's not accepted in the sciences. It would never be. You have no methodology. You are just walking around looking at the world and going, gosh, it just seems to me so obvious that our lungs were designed for breathing.
Don't scientists look at the world?
Yes.
Yes. Now the follow-up question is, when scientists, the follow-up question, Jeff, is when scientists look at the world, do they go, God, that just seems so obvious. Let's write that up as our model.
Well, no. What I'm saying, there are scientists.
Do scientists do that? Is that the way science is done, Jeff?
I don't believe that they do that. No.
Good. So why would you bring up what scientists do when your method is nothing remotely like science? Yes, we both observe things. The difference is that
claim that you're making.
The difference is that when scientists observe things, they try to find an actual explanation for that observation, and they have methods that allow them to do this in such a way that they're not just asserting their impression.
And some of them come to the conclusion that there's a designer that made it.
Yeah, you know what? How many of those scientists who have concluded there's a designer have concluded it on the basis of science? None. Zero. Yeah. Nada. Zip. Zilch.
I don't agree.
I don't give a shit if you agree. I'm spouting facts at you. You don't even accept the science. You are looking at the world and deciding, this is the way it looks to me, so I'm going to run with it. Well, if that's the case, then why are we having a conversation? Because if we can't agree on how to come to the truth, then you're just going to sit here and say, well, it's obvious you're wrong. Well, it's obvious you're wrong, and I'm going to get pissed and hang up.
No, I'm just saying that my observation is no different from a scientist's observation.
Really?
And you're trying to put me in the category of, I'm just...
did I say that your observations were... See, this is the thing. You are definitely not listening. Because we start with an observation, and then we have a process by which we reach an explanation for that. What I didn't say that your observations were different from a scientist. I said your conclusions were because your methodology is. Their methodology is, let's explore and investigate, gather evidence, and come up with models that are testable and falsifiable in order to give us the best explanation of the universe. And your methodology is, God, that seems obvious.
So those scientists that come to the conclusion after their scientific investigation that there is a designer and a creator, and this is verifying it, you don't agree with them, and they're
not reaching that conclusion based on science. The scientists who've done that, they've started with the assumption that their theistic beliefs are correct. And they're abusing what they call science. They're not really doing science, okay? They're just finding justifications.
You're making a very deep judgment on.
Oh no! Here's a great example. Here's a perfect example. You know who Francis Collins is?
I've heard the name. Yes.
He's a former head of the Human Genome Project. He's an amazing scientist who helped map the human genome. Yeah. By the way, he also accepts evolution, the science of evolution, as the best explanation, and thinks that the genetic evidence alone, even if we didn't have fossils and other stuff, would be enough to prove common ancestry. On all those things, he's engaged in science. He's also an evangelist, an evangelical Christian. Do you know why?
No.
It wasn't because he looked at the genome and decided, gosh, there really must be a God here. Instead, he was out for a bike ride one day and came across a waterfall that was frozen into 3 columns, and this reminded him of the Trinity, and he hit his knees and accepted Christ as his Savior. That's not science. Francis Collins' belief in the Trinity and Jesus has nothing to do with science. If he had said, you know what, I looked at the human genome and said, gosh, there's just a lot of information there, I can't think, it must be God, he would still not be doing science. He would be doing what you're doing, which is looking at it and saying, gosh, this is just the obvious explanation. So the people reach God based on something other than sound scientific methodology.
So if you use quote-unquote sound scientific methodology, the only conclusion you could come to is that there is no God.
No.
What you're saying?
No,
No.
that's no. It doesn't examine that question at all.
The conclusion of sound scientific methods with regard to the issue of God is this is something we cannot investigate, demonstrate, or disprove. It's an unfalsifiable proposition that is outside the realms of scientific inquiry and investigation. That is what sound scientific methods would conclude with regard to God.
Can sound scientific methods come to the conclusion that there is a designer or no?
We just answered that question.
It may, in fact, be the case that if there was an intelligent designer, and we're not talking about necessarily something supernatural, but let's say aliens manipulated the genetic code, scientific investigation could hypothetically demonstrate that this were true if, in fact, there were markers left that would demonstrate this case. That's not what's happened, but it's not outside the realm of possibility that science could find a designer. But the time to believe there's a designer is after we've discovered the evidence for one, not just because we found a book that leads you to the conclusion that it's obvious there's a designer.
Right. And again, you would have to come up with some kind of hypothesis that was falsifiable and testable that you could use as a basis for investigating that claim.
So at the end of the day, you have confidence that there's a God because you believe the Bible.
Yes, sir.
And when asked about
of life, because I believe life
I don't even know
and
what that
love,
means.
which I told you before. I told you, you don't know what life means?
Oh, I know what life means.
Yeah, but
I don't know what it means when you say you believe life.
I don't know what it means when you say you believe life,
Well,
but I certainly believe that there are living things and that does not point us to a God.
Well, God is life.
Okay. Well, congratulations. Now you've departed from the Bible.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly what Jesus said. That he's
Jesus actually said, I am the way and the truth and the life.
and the life. Yeah.
No, and the light. Light. Go learn your Bible some more. We'll talk to some other people. Thanks for calling.